In this video we will show you the 10 most amazing places to visit in Portugal. Portugal, officially the Portuguese Republic, Portuguese, República Portuguesa, is a country located on the Iberian Peninsula in southwestern Europe and whose territory also includes the Atlantic archipelagos of the Azores and Madeira. It features the westernmost point in continental Europe, and its Iberian portion is bordered to the west and south by the Atlantic Ocean and to the north and east by Spain, the sole country to have a land border with Portugal. Its two archipelagos form two autonomous regions with their own regional governments. Lisbon is the capital and largest city by population. One of the oldest countries in Europe, its territory has been continuously settled, invaded and fought over since prehistoric times. The territory was first inhabited by pre-Roman and Celtic peoples who had contact with Phoenicians, ancient Greeks and Carthaginians. It was later ruled by the Romans, followed by the invasions of Germanic peoples and the Islamic invasion by the Moors, whose rule was eventually expelled during the Reconquista. Founded first as a county of the Kingdom of Leon in 868, gained its independence as the Kingdom of Portugal with the Treaty of Zamora in 1143. In the 15th and 16th centuries, Portugal established one of the longest-lived maritime and commercial empires, becoming one of the main economic and political powers of the time. At the end of the 16th century, however, Portugal suffered a war for the crown succession which led to the incorporation of the country into the Spanish monarchy during the Iberian Union. From the historic cities of Lisbon and Porto to the tiny cobbled villages of the north, the vast wine region to the wild Atlantic coast, there is certainly no shortage of beautiful places in Portugal to capture travelers' imaginations. This list brings together 5 of the prettiest places in Portugal, each totally distinct but all renowned for their history, charms, scenery, and above all good looks. Portugal. Most of the destinations mentioned here can be easily accessed by train or bus, but to see more of the country, I highly recommend renting a car and setting off on a Portugal road trip. As with a Spain road trip, driving in Portugal will give you freedom to explore harder to reach areas and stay at more remote, unique accommodations including quintas. I personally use Discover Cars to find the best rate on a rental car whenever I'm in Europe. Click here to browse their offerings and choose from pickup locations all over mainland Portugal and in the Azores. The capital city of Lisbon rightly tops just about every traveler's Portugal bucket list. One of the prettiest cities in Portugal and in the whole of Europe, Lisbon is a mosaic of winding streets, open plazas, stunning churches and Miradouro lookouts waiting to be discovered. Despite welcoming more and more visitors every year, Lisbon remains an affordable destination. Sintra, one of the prettiest places in Portugal. The charming town of Sintra is nestled in the pine-covered hills of the Serra de Sintra mountains west of Lisbon. This is where every tourist comes to live out their fantasy of wandering through a fairy tale. The area is best known for its collection of castles, most notably the colorful Palácio Nacional da Pina and the more classical Quinta da Regalera, one of the most distinct palaces anywhere in Europe. Pina especially can't be missed. Pretty as it is, there's a more serious history behind Sintra, including tales of how the nobility were forced to flee on the eve of the country's bloody revolution. The initiation well at the Quinta da Regalera, a deep hole that resembles an inverted tower, has a dark side too. The design is said to reflect Dante's 9 circles of hell. Sintra is located 30 kilometers from Lisbon and can be reached by train within 40 minutes, making it an ideal day trip destination from the capital. 3. The Algarve. The Algarve is home to some of the most beautiful sandy beaches in Portugal, and what is surely the country's most dramatically beautiful stretch of coastline. From the charming streets of Old Town of Lagos to the cliffy Ponta da Piedade, with its natural sea arches and rock formations that frame picture-perfect Atlantic Ocean views, the Algarve may be popular, but there's a good reason for that. The beach region and its 4 major towns draw thick summer crowds, especially in July and August. Estoi. Located inland from Faro and Portugal's Algarve coast, the tiny town of Estoi is a bit of a hidden gem. Its biggest attraction is the restored Palácio do Visconde de Estoi, a 19th century palace with a pretty pink rococo facade. Not all that long ago, the palace was in tatters after lying abandoned for several decades. It was recently renovated and relaunched as a pousada. The sprawling manicured gardens that surround the palace also received a facelift. And today, you can enjoy a stroll here beneath the palm trees, drinking in one of the most romantic buildings in Portugal in all her glory. Here you can view the remains of an opulent ancient Roman villa, replete with vivid mosaics and columns that archaeologists have dated back to the 2nd century AD. Estoril itself is a typical Algarvian town with tightly woven cobbled streets, whitewashed houses fringed with pastel accents, and creeping bougainvillea trees. The local, laid-back vibe makes Estoril a terrific place to retreat from the crowded coast for a couple of hours. 5. Obidos. Located in central Portugal's east region, Obidos is considered by many to be the country's finest example of a traditional Portuguese walled town. With a history that dates back to Paleolithic times, Obidos has been shaped by centuries of Phoenician, Roman and Moorish influence. The cobbled streets of the historic center rise and fall with the gently undulating hills the town is built atop, leading you through clusters of sweet whitewashed houses that huddle together under shared slate roofs. Sawtooth fortified walls loom in the background, enveloping Obidos like a shining jewel in the palm of a great, rocky hand. The imposing limestone and marble Obidos castle has been turned into a pousada, offering anyone who overnights in the plush rooms an unforgettable experience. Six. The Douro Valley, Portugal's premier wine region. Named for the mighty Douro River that cuts across the Iberian Peninsula, the Douro Valley has become one of the most coveted destinations in Europe for wine lovers in recent years. This exquisite landscape east of Porto, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, includes Barca de Alva, one of the oldest wine regions in the world. Grapes have been cultivated on these steep banks and billowy plains for centuries, and the area's viniculture heritage flavors everything from the beautiful tiled railway station at Pinhao, which bears elaborate vine designs, to the old Rebelo boats, traditional vessels used for carrying wine from farms to the mouth of the river that still cut across the water. 7. Porto, one of the most beautiful cities in Portugal. Portugal's second largest city may at first seem to resemble Lisbon in many ways, particularly in the architecture, riverside profile and hilly streets. A great alternative to the capital, Porto is a cultural beacon that shines just as bright and has just as much to offer visitors. One of the most beautiful sections of Porto is the riverside, where rows and rows of houses bejeweled with azulejos tiles sit pressed together. Get an overview of the city on a Rebelo boat trip before wandering the plazas and streets on foot, stopping off every now and then for a spot of fado music and a libation at one of the many port wine cellars. 8. Cascais, a municipality within the district of Lisbon. Cascais is a coastal settlement comprising cute towns hemmed in by a striking coastline of cliffs and sea arches. Spots like the Boca do Inferno bear a resemblance to the rugged formations around Lagos on southern Portugal's Algarve. Cascais was made popular in the 1870s when King Louis of Portugal chose this spot as his summer retreat. The area still has a feel of old-world glamour and elegance about it, especially in the stunning palaces that dot the coastline. There are no fewer than 17 beaches in the area as well, some suitable for swimming. 9. Madeira, a wild beauty in Portugal. When it comes to natural beauty, there are few places in the world that rival Madeira. Portugal's four-island archipelago is the star of the North Atlantic, and a cornucopia of wild, ruggedly beautiful landscapes. The largest island, Madeira, offers visitors the chance to sample everything this remote part of Portugal is famed for in one convenient location. Starting at Funchal, wander the exquisite harbor gardens and sample local wines at the Madeira cellars. When it comes to natural beauty, there are few places in the world that rival Madeira. Portugal's four-island archipelago is the star of the North Atlantic, and a cornucopia of wild, ruggedly beautiful landscapes. The largest island, Madeira, offers visitors the chance to sample everything this remote part of Portugal is famed for in one convenient location. Starting at Funchal, wander the exquisite harbor gardens and sample local wines at the Madeira cellars. The best way to explore Madeira is by car. Circumnavigate the island, stopping to wander the narrow streets of the various fishing villages, soak in the lava pools in Porto Moniz, and spot whales and dolphins in the clear waters off the southern coast. Remember to venture inland to the vast natural park, where easy trails guide visitors around the prehistoric Laura Silva of Madeira Forest. The island is crowned with the ominous Pico do Arieiro, a volcanic peak that rises high above the clouds. 10. The Azores. The autonomous region of Azores is made up of 9 islands located off the coast of Portugal and North Africa. Known for their dramatic landscapes and outdoor activities, the Azores serve as a dedicated destination for nature tourism. Each of the 9 islands, spread over 600 kilometers from Corvo to Santa Maria, is of volcanic origin. Extinct craters and basin-like lakes, towering waterfalls and hiking paths set atop verdant ridges are some of the most recognizable landscapes associated with the Azores. Activities on offer range from whale watching and diving to canoeing and kayaking. You can hike inside the volcanoes or explore the islands by car. São Miguel, the biggest and most beautiful Azores island, also features several pretty whitewashed towns. Its main city, Ponta Delgada, is a great place to base your explorations. Portugal is a wonderful country in southern Europe, with an 18-kilometer-long coastline, beautiful mountains, and interesting cities. It's the country of lively Lisbon, pretty Porto, the celebrated UNESCO Alto Douro wine region, and much more. Narrowing down a feasible 2 weeks in Portugal road trip itinerary is challenging. There is simply too much to see. However, this 2-week Portugal itinerary will help you make the most of your time in this amazing European country.